Day 2 of the sentencing hearing for Gloria Williams has come to an end, and no sentence issued today for Williams, who is accused of stealing a newborn baby from a Jacksonville hospital in 1998. You know that baby as Kamiyah Mobley.
That's right. We've heard that so many times over the years, and we have team coverage tonight from downtown Jacksonville. We want to set it out now to First Coast News anchor Heather Crawford. Heather?
Jeannie and Anthony, what a day it was here at the Duval County Courthouse today as Gloria Williams testified for hours about kidnapping little Kamiyah Mobley after she befriended her mother as she posed as a nurse in the hospital back 2 decades ago. This was the first time that we have heard from Gloria Williams. She said she was remorseful. She looked right at Kamiyah Mobley's birth parents and said, "I'm sorry, I'm so very sorry. I know I can't get you back those 18 years I've taken." And she asked for forgiveness. When asked how long she should serve in prison, she said, "I can't answer that. That will be up to the judge, and the judge it will be up to." Now, the motive, why did she kidnap Kamiyah Mobley? That's something that so many people have wanted to know. And today, in her own words, Gloria Williams said she was in an abusive relationship and she got pregnant, and she thought that a baby would bring peace to that relationship. And when she had a miscarriage, she described just a kind of a state of confusion and chaos and getting in a car, driving south down I-95, getting off at a Jacksonville exit and ending up at the hospital, what is now UF Health Hospital. And in there, she said, "I found myself looking at the newborns in the newborn ward, thinking to myself, fighting with myself." And then hours later, she would walk away with Kamiyah Mobley and live with this deep, dark secret she said she told not a soul about for 18 years. Now, we have team coverage, live team coverage for you tonight. Julia Janae has sat through these 2 days of testimony, which wrapped up today. And Julia, I know you have reaction from those who talked after the testimony ended today.
Right, Heather, coming out of the courtroom, there was this sense that there's not finality yet, as everyone in the courtroom is still waiting to hear exactly how much time the judge is going to decide to give Gloria Williams behind bars. She was the only one to take the stand today. One person who did not take the stand, Kamiyah Mobley. She let us know through her attorney that taking the stand and testifying would have put her in a no-win situation, both with her biological family and with the only family that she's known. She didn't talk to the media after this hearing concluded, but she did say through her attorney, Justin Bamberg of South Carolina, that Monday is a big deal for her and it has nothing to do with this case.
You know, Kamiyah was finally able, after months and months of work, to get a brand new, genuine Social Security number. And right now we are working on prepping her to take a driver's test. She was able to get her first job, and she will be starting that on Monday.
Now, we also learned that she has been working to get all of that stuff together and that it has been very difficult for her having no identity. And after 19 years, when you don't have an identity, that it makes it that much more difficult. But her attorney said that she is just processing all of this and she doesn't want to be seen as a victim. The state attorney today also saying that she has a lot of strength, but that Gloria Williams shouldn't benefit from that strength. The family did talk to us after this hearing concluded. The Aiken family representative told us that they still think the max is the appropriate sentence in this case, 22 years. The defense attorneys for Gloria Williams said that if the judge decides to impose something more than time served, that it should be no more than 7 years. Heather?
Julia Janae, thank you very much. And I found it interesting that Kamiyah's attorney tonight said she's basically learned to live this hybrid persona, that she now goes by the name Kamiyah Mobley, but really she also answers to Alexis Manigault. And he went on to say that she still maintains a relationship with Gloria Williams, wants to continue to do that, while at the same time rebuilding a relationship with her biological parents. And I did happen to catch up with Kamiyah right after the hearing. She was standing outside the courthouse, and I saw a lot of people coming up to her, people who'd been sitting there listening to the testimony, and they were just wishing her well, saying, "Kamiyah, we are pulling for you," because you can only imagine what it is like for a 19-year-old who thinks a woman is her mother for all these years and then finds out it was a web of lies and betrayal, and now trying to have a relationship with 2 moms. I want to bring in now my colleague Ann Schindler. Ann, you have been doing excellent reporting from the courtroom, tweeting out throughout the day. And we heard one of the most powerful moments, I think, today was Gloria Williams say, "I love you, Kamiyah. You're not mine. Your mom and dad are sitting right there," referring to her biological parents.
Yeah, it's really high emotions today in the courtroom 406. I mean, you could really feel it, very palpable. And, you know, from both sides. I mean, at one point, we were actually hearing both mothers, the biological mother and the mother that kidnapped this baby, sobbing simultaneously, although for very different reasons, obviously. Now, Gloria Williams took the stand in her own defense, as we've said. She was questioned for 2.5 hours by attorneys for both sides. She recounted the days and hours leading up to the kidnapping, although she stopped short of explaining exactly what made her do what she did. But she did apologize at length and directly to the girl's parents seated in the front row of the courtroom. She also told Kamiyah, as you said, "You're not mine. Your mother and father are sitting right there." Now, prosecutor Alan Mizrahi called for most severe punishment in this case. He wants 22 years, which is the maximum. He cited the pain that Williams inflicted on the biological family and noted that the resources from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office were massive that they had to expend in their search for the little baby. Now, here's a little bit of sound from what each had to say today. First from Gloria Williams on the stand, and then from prosecutor Alan Mizrahi.
I know I wronged you, and I'm so sorry. And so many days, so many days, so many days. So many days, I just wanted to pick that child up and say, "Come on, let's get in this car and go." And I hope one day that you could ever find it in your heart to forgive me.
A kidnapper should not benefit by her own brainwashing into convincing this child that she is a good mother. To have the gall to claim that this woman did right by this child is disgusting.
Now, Judge Marian Aho has to make the decision based on everything that she heard over the last 2 days. She's a very deliberative judge. She likes to take her time. She wants to order transcripts in this case, so that's going to take 10 business days, and then she's got a judicial conference at the end of the month. So she's actually going to put off her sentencing until June. I believe that was the date. Is that correct?
Yeah, June the 8th is when she will learn her sentencing. And I thought it was really interesting how she asked the defense. She said, you know, the state maintains that this kidnapping was an ongoing crime. The defense said no, it was a finite, it happened, that was it, although the interference with custody was at length. But as part of the plea deal that Gloria Williams signed, that plea deal was dated from the date of the kidnapping to the date that it was signed. So that would obviously be 18 years that the judge takes into consideration that a crime had occurred. So Ann, thank you so much. We're going to hear more from you tonight at 6 o'clock. And as Ann said, June the 8th is the day that everyone will come back here to the Duval County Courthouse to learn the judge's sentence. Gloria Williams could face up to 22 years in prison. She is 52 years old. Our live team coverage continues tonight at 6, and we have a lot more on what happened inside the courtroom today right now on FirstCoastNews.com. We are live outside the Duval County Courthouse. Heather Crawford, First Coast News, on your side.
Gloria Williams taking the stand for nearly 3 hours today as she awaits her fate.
So during nearly 3 hours on the stand, Williams broke down on the stand while apologizing to Kamiyah and her biological family. Tonight, we have live team coverage. Ann Schindler and Julia Janae inside the courtroom for much of the day with details on what you couldn't see at home. But we begin first with news anchor Heather Crawford joining us live outside the courthouse with the latest.
Well, good evening, Anthony. Tonight, Gloria Williams is back in jail. She will not learn her sentence until next month. That is when the judge will have a hearing and announce if she will get up to 22 years in prison. But today, as that emotional testimony from Gloria Williams was underway, Kamiyah Mobley sat in the back of the courtroom listening to every word she was saying. And so did Kamiyah's biological mother, Shanara Mobley. It was a very emotional day in court. And at one point, Gloria Williams looked right at Kamiyah and apologized to her. Here's what she had to say.
I just love that child so, and I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to cause you any harm, any pain, any of that.
Now, today was the first day that we have ever heard from Gloria Williams, and she recounted that day back in 1998 when she said she got in her car, drove down I-95 South, got off at a Jacksonville exit and ended up in the hospital where Kamiyah Mobley was just hours old. And up until today, we never had heard a motive. Why did she take this baby? Why did she keep her for all those years? Continuing our live team coverage now is my colleague Julia Janae, who was inside the courtroom when Gloria revealed her motive. Julia?
Heather, she said, "I don't know," when the state prosecutor asked her directly what she was thinking when she got in the car to get on I-95 South. But she did give some circumstances that she said played a role in her decision to do that. She said her life was out of control at the time. She had just lost custody of her 2 older boys, and she had had a miscarriage about a few months before that. She also suggested a baby would fix her domestic violence situation. Charles Manigo, you see there, testified first yesterday. He was Williams' second husband. He didn't get asked about whether he abused his wife at the time, but several witnesses that testified after him claimed that they saw bruises on Williams at the hands of Manigo, that he even pulled her arm out of her socket. Now, she told the court today she thought a baby would help Charles.
I did go to the floor and looked at the babies at the ward, and just looked at them and just thought about the baby I lost.
And Williams would also testify today to putting the baby, Kamiyah Mobley, in a bag that she brought. That got a lot of just shock from the people who were in the courtroom today, hearing that that's what she did with a newborn baby. The state prosecutor saying that it seems that you didn't care about her, but she said that wasn't the case. She did care about the baby that she took. She explained that she actually had a conversation with Shanara Mobley, the biological mother, there in the hospital room, spending hours with her before taking Kamiyah Mobley. And she said during that time, Shanara shared that she was worried about being a young mother and didn't know how she would handle it. So all of that information she testified today as playing a role in what led to her ultimately committing this crime. Heather?
Julia Janae live tonight. Thank you very much. It really was riveting testimony. You couldn't turn away as Gloria Williams talked about kidnapping Kamiyah, talked about their life together over those 18 years. And at several points during her testimony today, she broke down on the stand. And Ann Schindler was also in the courtroom today. And you tweeted out a picture really struck me. It was a picture of Gloria Williams wiping away her tears, and a picture beside that of Kamiyah's biological mother, Shanara Mobley, also crying. Very emotional for both of these women.
Yeah, I mean, at one point it was almost in stereo, these 2 women crying for 2 very different reasons in court today. Of course, Gloria Williams, we hadn't heard her story before. This is the first time we got her closest explanation to why she did what she did, and it was very emotional. She made an effort to apologize directly to the family, apologize to Kamiyah, but she also was speaking to the prosecutor and to the judge and trying to present her version of events. The prosecutor was very impatient with this sort of extended mea culpa. She was on the stand for more than an hour, and you could see Alan Mizrahi kind of tensing and getting tired of listening to this endless, seemingly, apology. But then he put her on the stand. He was punching holes in her claims, saying that she'd committed a crime each day that she didn't come clean and didn't give back the baby, challenging all of her claims that she was caring about this child, reminding everyone of the suffering that the biological family went through. And we're going to listen to a little sound here of their back and forth while she was on the stand.
I wouldn't use the word brainwash.
Well, what word would you use?
I mean, that's what she knew. That's all she knew.
Would you want to, instead of brainwashing, would you want to say every waking moment of the day you lied to her?
The love wasn't a lie. True love is not a lie.
When it's based on the falsehood it is.
It's not.
Of course, that was the big break there. Was it a loving home or was it brainwashing? And obviously the 2 sides had a very different perspective. Go back to Heather.
And thank you. And I talked to Kamiyah Mobley as she stood outside the courthouse today. I asked her, how you doing? She said, I'm doing all right. And her attorney says she does want to maintain a relationship with Gloria Williams and also work to rebuild a relationship with her biological parents. Gloria Williams made it very clear today that nobody else was involved in this kidnapping. The biological parents have been under suspicion for many years, and she said no one else was involved. Sentencing hearing will be June the 8th. That's when Gloria Williams will learn her sentence. We have much more online at firstcoastnews.com, and we'll have legal analysis tonight on First Coast News at 7. Back to you. What a day it was inside the Duval County Courthouse today as Gloria Williams for the first time talked publicly about kidnapping little Kamiyah Mobley from a hospital here in Jacksonville back in 1998. Her testimony lasted about 2.5 hours, and so many people have wanted to know, why did she kidnap her? What made her do this crime? And she explained it by saying she had been in an abusive relationship, she got pregnant, and she thought the baby would bring peace to that relationship. And when she had a miscarriage, she said she kind of just went on autopilot, and one day after work, got in the car, drove down 95 South, got off at a Jacksonville exit, and ended up at a Jacksonville hospital, which is now UF Health. And inside that hospital, she stayed for hours looking at the newborns, finally befriending Kamiyah Mobley's birth mother. And then, as she posed as a nurse, put the baby in a bag and walked out of the hospital, never to return her. And so there we were. 18 years later, Kamiyah Mobley found alive and well, and today was the final day of testimony in Gloria Williams' sentencing hearing. First Coast News' Julia Janae was inside the courtroom for the entire duration of this two-day testimony. She continues our team coverage now. Julia?
That's right. Just a couple of hours ago, it was inside this courtroom, just before you get to the front, that the attorney for Kamiyah Mobley did address the media. He said Kamiyah did not want to speak to us publicly today, but he said that she has been making great strides in her life. She's been able to obtain a new birth certificate, a new Social Security card, and on Monday that she plans to start a new job that she's very excited about. He wouldn't tell us what the job is. He said it is in South Carolina and it will involve working with people. Now, inside the courtroom, a lot of tense testimony, as you've heard from Gloria Williams, and in particular when she talked about the moments that she decided to take baby Kamiyah Mobley out of that hospital room. She said that she looked down at the baby after talking to the biological mother for hours, Shanara Mobley, and she said taking her baby, quote, felt right. Now, it would be years later that she would testify that she did tell Kamiyah the truth when she was 16 years old, when she didn't have a birth certificate or Social Security card in order to get a job. She said she offered at that point to turn herself in. That would have been about 1.5 years before she was actually arrested, but she said Kamiyah Mobley begged her not to. We did catch up with the spokesperson for the Aiken family. That's Kamiyah Mobley's paternal family. Here's what they had to say about this hearing.
I don't think that this can be repaid. I think that she can continue to do the good deeds that she's doing and continue to try to improve herself and continue to do those community things that she was talking about doing. However, I still don't think that there's any way that you can repay 18 years of loss and deceit and betrayal that's gone on here.
Now, also for the first time, this family was hearing an apology directly from Gloria Williams. The mother of Kamiyah Mobley leaned forward during that part of the hearing. She had her elbows up on the bar, locking eyes with Gloria Williams while she was making those statements, and she made that apology, but it did seem from body language from those parents that this was not an apology that they were accepting anytime soon. For now, reporting from the Duval County Courthouse, Julia Janae, First Coast News, on your side.
And after court was over today, I saw Kamiyah Mobley standing outside, a lot of people coming up to her, wishing her well. I asked her how she's doing, and she simply said, I'm doing all right. But we know that she does want to continue to maintain a relationship with Gloria Williams, the woman she called mom for all those years. And her attorney says she also plans to try and rebuild the relationship with her biological mother and father. I want to bring in now our First Coast News legal analyst, Sam Garrison, a criminal defense attorney. And so, Sam, listening to this testimony today, Gloria Williams, the only one to take the stand today, did her testimony hurt her or did it help her?
I think in the sum total of events, it probably helped her a little bit, and that it humanized her. But the prosecution scored some really devastating points, bringing to the front of the mind what we all know intuitively that had to have happened in this case, but making it fresh for the judge and for the court, and bringing a lot of ammunition to their argument for a very high sentence. So after the closing statements were over, the judge, Judge Aho, asked the question, is this an ongoing crime or not? And the state had maintained that it was. She was kidnapped in 1998 and continued this web of deceit and betrayal for all these years, perpetrating this crime. The defense, though, said no, this was a finite crime. The kidnapping happened and it was over. But she admitted to this in the plea deal through the entire duration. Kind of explain that and what that means.
Sure, that's a subtle point, but an important one. The defense is arguing this was a one-time event, that Kamiyah was kidnapped back in 1998, and once she was taken away, the crime started.
and stopped. The state's argument is this is a continuing crime, that every day that Kamiyah was away from her biological family, the crime that began in 1998 continued to the present time. It's important because that determines what sort of sentencing structure is going to govern here. The sentence that would have been placed back in 1998 or the more severe one that would have been in place today.
Very interesting. And we heard the defense attorney say today she was a wonderful woman, speaking of Gloria Williams, and she was a model mother, that she educated Kamiyah. She was found healthy and well. Will the judge take that into consideration, the parenting that Gloria Williams did during the years of the abduction?
I think the judge has to take into consideration. The question is what sort of weight Judge Aho is going to give it, juxtaposed with the argument that the state put forward that, you know, a mother doesn't kidnap a baby, put her in a bag, and get on 95 and drive away with the mom not knowing where her child is.
Right.
So the state's going to focus very strongly on the actions that the defendant took that night and the continued deception that would have been ongoing regardless of how well she treated the victim.
All right, Sam, thank you so much. And we heard Gloria Williams today apologize not only to Kamiyah Mobley, but also asking for forgiveness and saying she was so sorry to the biological parents of Kamiyah. Gloria Williams will be back here at the Duval County Courthouse on June 8th. That is when the judge will announce her sentence. She could face up to 22 years in prison, and right now she is 52 years old. We will have more on this story for you coming up tonight on First Coast News at 11. From the Duval County Courthouse, Heather Crawford, First Coast News, on your side.